In this lesson, we're going to create our first simple spreadsheet. We're going to learn how to enter some data into the spreadsheet, um, the different kinds of data you can put in a spreadsheet, and how to do some adjustments to make the data readable. And then we're going to create our first simple formula, because the power of a spreadsheet is being able to do calculations for us. And to have those calculations automatically change if data is updated. But let's first start by talking about data entry. In your spreadsheet, you have a grid of column and rows, like we talked about before. And when you click in one of those cells at the intersection of a column and row, that cell will be selected, and you will see it'll have a dark box around it, and you'll know that's the currently selected cell. And the name of that cell will be put up in the name box. So right now I've selected cell B2. Once you've clicked in the cell, you can start typing in information, and that information will appear inside that cell, and it will be associated with that cell. So we're going to start by creating a simple spreadsheet to calculate the total cost of paint supplies to paint a room. So the first thing I'll do is put some labels in here, which are just some text typed in a cell that helps us identify what the data is. So I'm going to start right up in the corner. I'm going to click in cell A1, and I'm going to type in my first set of data, which is paint costs, since that's what the spreadsheet is going to be about. As I type in the data, I have the insertion point blinking, and the data shows up in the cell and also up here in the formula bar. So if I needed to go back and make some changes, I can edit this cell and work on it, make changes as I need to, and it doesn't get committed to the cell until I press the Enter key. And when I press the Enter key, it accepts that information in the cell. So paint cost is now inside cell A1. And when I click in cell A1, you can see that it shows up in the formula bar, so I know that's what's contained in there. Now, if you notice that the word cost kind of overlaps into cell B1, and that's okay, and the label is paint cost is not actually in both cells. It's considered only to be in cell A1, but because there's nothing else in cell B1 right now, it doesn't cut it off. It just kind of overlaps it for us. But if we want to increase the size of the cell to make room for the whole word and make it a little bit neater, we can do that. Up in the column headings, you can see the columns are labeled by letters, and in between each is a line. And that line allows you to resize the column. And you'll notice the cursor changes from the big plus when we're down here editing the spreadsheet, and it changes to a dark plus with arrows pointing left and right. If I click and hold the mouse button down on that line and drag out to the right, it will increase the size of that column. And now the word paint cost nicely fits into that cell. Okay, let's type some more labels going down this column A. So I have some supplies that I need to buy in order to paint this room. I, of course, need some paint. And notice how Excel tries to guess what you might want to type. It tries to predict what you might want to type based on other things that you've typed in the spreadsheet. So it's automatically, even though I just want the word paint, it's automatically filling cost because I typed that in before. And I just have to hit the backspace key to delete that. I don't want it to say paint costs anymore. I just want it to say paint. So I got rid of that, and now I can hit enter. And so my first item that I want in my spreadsheet is paint. I also need brushes. And each time I'm typing in the data and I'm hitting enter, and every time I hit enter, it accepts the data in that cell, and then it moves the selection down to the cell below because it figures you want to type the next thing in the cell below it. I need a paint tray to hold my paint while I'm brushing it out, and a drop cloth to protect the floor in the room I'm painting. Okay, so now I have a title and I have some kind of headings, and now I have some numbers associated with these. I'm going to have a price for each of the items. So in column B, I'm going to put what those prices are for these different items. So let's say I'm planning on spending $50 on paint. So I type in the number 50 and hit enter. I'm going to spend $20 on brushes, so I type in the number 20 and hit enter. $10 for a tray, and $10 for a drop cloth. Now notice how I chose to put the label and the number in separate cells. And that's important because Excel understands what kind of information is put in a cell. So this is text, this is words, letters, but this is a number. And it knows that how to do calculations on numbers, whereas you don't do calculations, you don't add, subtract, multiply, and divide letters, words. But it can do that with numbers. So Excel has to have them separate, because if I typed paint and then spaced over and typed the number 50, because the 50 is not separate in its own cell, Excel won't be able to do any math on that. So you have to put your numbers separate from your labels. That's really important. That way Excel is going to be able to do some calculations on those numbers. Now I don't want this data that I typed down here, so I'm just going to click in the cell, and I'm going to hit the backspace key on my keyboard. That gets rid of it, and I hit enter to accept that, so now I've cleared that cell out. Okay, so I have my numbers here that indicate the amount of money each of these items cost, but I haven't in any way indicated that this is currency or money. And I could have typed the dollar sign in there, but when it comes to things like special characters like dollar signs or percents, it's better to let Excel put those in. That way you make sure that it's still understanding that these are numbers, even though there might be special symbols in the cell with them. And you do that by something called number formatting. And number formatting is in the home ribbon, and it's up in this section. It says number, and you'll see there's some quick formatting. There's a dollar sign to it's called the accounting number format, and it makes everything look like it's money. There's also a percentage, and if you click on this general, there's a whole bunch of other kinds of numbers that Excel knows how to format for you, like currency and accounting are different ways of showing money. It knows how to do a couple of formats for different dates, so it knows about January 12th, 2000. It knows how to format and work with dates and also times of day like 12:30 p.m. or 1 o'clock a.m. It knows about percentages and other different kinds of formats. But we're just going to use the really quick one. By using the dollar sign, the accounting format, we can make our numbers here look like the money that they are. Whenever we want to change the formatting of a cell, so affect something that's in a cell, we have to first tell Excel which numbers we want to change, where are they located, and then choose the formatting type that we want. So in this case, we want all of this to be formatted as money. So I could do it one cell at a time by clicking on the first cell and then choosing clicking the dollar sign, and it sets it as the accounting format. And I could do that individually for each one. But it's probably easier just to click and hold the mouse button down on the first one and drag all the way down to the last one. And that selects, it puts a black box around the whole area. Don't be concerned that only the bottom ones are highlighted in blue and the top one isn't. Just be concerned about this black box around the whole area. That's telling you that all those numbers are selected, and if I click the dollar sign, all of them will be set as that accounting format with the dollar signs. And it adds the cents in there too, even though they're all 0 cents. Okay, now it's your turn. If you haven't been typing in your own spreadsheet already, stop this video now before you move on to the next video and create your own paint cost spreadsheet. Add your paint cost label, your labels for your different items, add your numbers for how much money they are, and then format them as accounting. And then once you're finished with that, you can move on to video number 2.